Hi, my name's Anthony Pack, and this is my presentation on Timkat, which is Ethiopia's Feast of Epiphany. Um, Before we get started, the reason why I chose this topic specifically was because Ethiopia and it's like their food, just the type of stews that they eat, or I always saw it online, and it always caught my eye, always looked really good. So that's sort of the reason why I was interested in doing this project on Ethiopia's Timkat festival. So let's get into it. The history of Ethiopia. Ethiopia was founded in the 10th century BC, and out of out of all the countries in Africa, it was the oldest independent country, and it was actually independent until 1935. And in this year, Italy invaded Ethiopia under a man named Benito Mussolini, and they were only um, in Ethiopia for a short amount of time. And in the time that Italy was um, invading Ethiopia or in Ethiopia, they introduced them to tomatoes and also olive oil and showed them how to use those two things in cooking. The Italians also showed the Ethiopians different ways of cooking, different methods of cooking, different dishes. They introduced things like pastas and traditional Italian ingredients and dishes. Sorry. So these photos here, the Ethiopian flag and also the map at the top right, it it represents um Ethiopia and sort of how Italy moved in their invasion. So they started off the coast and slowly tried to make their way inwards. Um, but it didn't fully work out. The In Ethiopia, the geography um in climate. Ethiopia is in East Africa and it borders Somalia, Sudan, Kenya, and Djibouti. Somalia is to the east of Ethiopia. Sudan is to the west of Ethiopia. South Sudan is to the southwest. Kenya is to the south, and Djibouti is northeast of Ethiopia. And the geography of Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, there's highlands, lowlands, plateaus, and mountains. So, as you can see in the photo to the right, that's just a photo of an Ethiopian um, area. You can see different examples of the different lands. You see some high parts. You see mountains there. Um, yeah. So, continuing on the topic of geography and climate. The climate actually varies depending on the altitude and the location of where you are, what region you are in Ethiopia. Lowlands are typically hot and humid. Temperatures are averaging at about 28 degrees Celsius. In the highlands of Ethiopia, typically cooler climates, with temperatures averaging around 16 degrees Celsius. So you can see that there's quite a difference in the two different types of locations, which can lead to different lifestyles, cultures, um, depending on areas that you're from, can also lead to um, different livestock or different things that you include in your dishes. So this is a map of Ethiopia, and um like I said before, Ethiopia's this whole area here in the middle, and Sudan is to the west of Ethiopia. South Sudan is here in the southwest. Djibouti is towards the northeast of Ethiopia, and yeah, and Kenya's to the south down here. So finally getting into Timkat, the festival of Timkat. Timkat is the greatest festival of Ethiopia. It's pretty much the most famous. It's I wouldn't say the most looked forward to, but that's Ethiopia's like festival. That's their holiday, essentially. And Timkat celebrates the baptism of Jesus in the Jordan River. And Timkat takes place, well, the start of Timkat takes place January 19th, which is 2 weeks after Ethiopian Christmas. And Ethiopian Christmas takes place January 7th. And this is because the difference, because our Christmas is, December 25th, and Ethiopian Christmas is January 27th. This is because they're using a different calendar system than we are. And there's a warning that I put. There's a trypophobia warning for the next slide. So yeah, different foods that are eaten during Timkat. There's injera, which is a spongy and sour flatbread. Here, it's sort of not sound sort of used. It's used to pick up the foods that you're eating. So you'd use injera, for example, to scoop up the shiro, which is a chickpea stew. You would just tear off a piece of the injera, and you'd scoop it up and you'd just eat it with your hands. Some more foods eaten during Timkat. We have kitfo, which is a raw minced beef dish, and it's marinated in spices, and it's also marinated in clarified butter. And the clarified butter is also seasoned with spices and herbs. Beriberi is a spice blend, and this is it's pretty general, but it's a spice blend that is a key ingredient in the Ethiopian cuisine. So it plays a very important role as well in the foods that are consumed during Timkat. And we also have dorwat, which is a spicy chicken stew. And it usually has boiled eggs in it. Sometimes you'll see it without, but it'll have boiled eggs usually. So, traditions of the Timkat festival is the tablet procession. This is where senior priests carry a replica of the Ark of the Covenant, and they usually start at like a church, or they start in a just like a starting area, and then they'll walk towards a body of water, or the body of water that they're going to bless. And I'll get into that in the next slide. So some more traditions are going to mass, and this is where high priests will make speeches, and then they will also bless water, where people submerge themselves into that water. And this tradition is believed to renew the vows that were made at their baptisms. And this is a reenactment and I guess a paying of respect to Jesus's baptism. And the photo in the bottom right, you can see people jumping and submerging themselves into the water that was blessed by the high priests. And here are my references. Thank you.